All right, Evan, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Monday, December 6, 2021. So market's getting a bit of a bounce here, although fading off the highs a little bit here. S&P up just over 1%. QQQ, the laggard here, up just 0.8. Dow up 1.8. And the Russell is the big winner on the day. IWM up 2% here. In fairness, that was the most oversold of the major indices, so makes sense that that would be getting the biggest bounce, although still kind of inside of this. It is inside of this red bar from last week. And tried to take out Friday's high. Did get above it, but it is still below that and below this trend line as well. So getting a nice bounce here, but not really showing a whole lot currently. Now we'll have to see what it does tomorrow, but I think the big thing here to take note of is that semiconductors are lagging, and that is dragging down tech. So tech, you don't want to see tech lagging. If you're bullish here, you want to see tech leading. Semiconductors still have this kind of head and shoulders pattern. That target would take you down to about 275, maybe that 272 handle there. If that can stay intact. Now, if you close above that neckline, that's an invalid pattern now. But for the meantime, that is dragging down the tech sector. Look at AMD down 3%, was down a lot more earlier today. Down all the way to the 134 handle. Nvidia getting hit as well. He's got all the way down to 280 there, still down 2%. We did cover our AMD short and our triple Q short last week, so that was a nice little gain here, and we figured the market was set for a bounce here. Also covered some VXX covered calls that I had today for a nice little gain here. We knew that the VIX was going to come in, but ultimately I think that this is a more of a dead cat bounce. I still think we're in a risk off scenario. The market is trying to put in a bottom here. Let's take a look at the SPY here on the hourly. So we do have a potential for a short-term bottom here. So you got this kind of W pattern, little double bottom pierce, and now you're getting a nice little rally off of that. But ultimately, I don't think that this is going to be too much of, I don't think we're going to make new all-time highs necessarily. And I think we are in a topping process. The reason for that is typically after a major pullback, the VIX, when the market bottoms, the VIX gets cut in half the next day. Usually the VIX would be down. Let's say if we say we went from about 17 or so up to 35, usually the VIX would be down in the low 20s by now. It would just be getting absolutely slaughtered. And we're seeing the SPY kind of come off of the highs. Granted, it's getting a bit of a pop here into the close. We got about 5 minutes left in the close. So maybe they juice it a little bit into the close. There's some shorts up here that probably were trying to short the market. Maybe they'll cover, but ultimately not really the robust rally you see. Normally, like look at the rocket fuel that you get off of these lows here. Look at that candle. Look at this candle. The next day, look at the follow through on these rip your face off rallies. Even, right here, even like look at that. So, we could see, follow through tomorrow. That's going to be the key if the market has follow through tomorrow. But, as of right now, you could make a case as long as the market kind of stays in this little range here, you could make a case for an inside bar bear flag. So if the market just kind of grinds up here and doesn't really have a robust push here on the futures, a nice juice, tomorrow and really to close the week out, that's what you want to see, strength into the end of the week. Then I think this market is setting up to put in a bear base here. Let's take a look at the triple Qs. We'll go back to that MACD that I've been talking about for a while. And that's the reason why we were short, and we took some profits on that. But, again, blue line crossing over the tan line. So momentum is now negative, and we have a massive bearish divergence here on the triple Qs. So, again, still have that 370 end of year target. And, maybe this market has an upside for a few more days, and maybe it rolls over a little bit. So that's something we're going to have to be on guard for. The VIX is holding up. It's just really holding steady. It's inside of Friday's candle range. So, and it could just, it can grind along this trend line. So if we take a look back at March 2020, we broke out here and then we kind of just grinded this trend line. In fact, I'll just pull it back so everybody can see it a little bit better. There we go. So, you had this big trend line here, couldn't break out. Finally, you broke out and then you just grinded it. And then we had the big explosion. Well, doesn't this look kind of familiar here? Couldn't break out. And that's why I said as soon as we get above 29 on the VIX, it's going to cause problems. And sure enough, the market is having problems now, although getting a bounce here. But nothing to say that the VIX can't grind up here and, eventually break higher. But this is something we'll have to monitor again tomorrow. We need to see follow through for the bulls. If we don't get follow through tomorrow, I would be very nervous about being, net long this market right now. In any case, let's talk about Bitcoin a little bit. Obviously, that got dumped really hard over the weekend. And I did the weekend analysis video at probably like 5, 6 o'clock at night. And then a few hours later, they dumped it out. So, and of course, this was probably intentional. You know, they knocked it down at about 10 o'clock on a Friday night. Who's paying attention to things going on in the markets at that point? So it was pretty much intentional. And the thing with crypto is, you know, it was down at about 42K for about 15 minutes, and then it was right back up to 48, 49,000. So it's almost like you couldn't even get a chance to buy the dip unless you were literally sitting there glued to your screen the whole time. And you know, that would have been a good dip to buy. You got down to this right to this consolidation here. You started to put in this bear flag, and then it reversed. So that's good support there, and that's where it bounced. Right now, I think it's kind of a bit of a neutral right here. You're going to have resistance at about 52, 53K. So you got this trend line, and then you got the gap fill there. And, you know, really on the downside, there's not much to do with it either, unless you get back down to that 42, 40,000 area. So Bitcoin's just kind of sitting in no man's land. If it gets back up above gap fill and starts moving higher, then I would give it a strong upside bias. But if it breaks down, and especially if it loses 42K, it's, you know, going to have a pit stop at 40 and probably goes down to 30. So continue to monitor Bitcoin right here. But, you know, and by the way, this is very interesting. So I've talked about this in the past. The amount of leverage that's in crypto is pretty astronomical, needless to say. And with the recent selling in the market, you have to wonder if somebody was, you know, over levered and didn't want to risk a gap down on Monday in the overall market. And so maybe they sold some crypto, you know, hey, we're going to have to, if we get margin called Monday, let's sell some crypto so we have some cash on hand in case we do have a Black Monday, if we do have some crazy variant news over the weekend that crashes the market, you know, we want to be covered. So, and that's the thing that I would be concerned about being heavily long crypto right now, is that if we do have any sort of deleveraging event or sort of, you know, mass margin calling event, crypto is going to get hit very, very hard. There is a ton of leverage in the crypto space, but just wanted to make that little point out for you guys. So market's about to close here. Yeah, I can't even get a bid here. So yeah, I would be very nervous if I was very long this market right now. So markets start fading a little bit, closing in about 20 seconds. We'll check back in on that in a little bit. Let's look at yields. So yields getting a bit of a bounce today. That's also helping the Russell 2000, as we talked about, the big winner on the day. Also helping XLF out, up 1.5. XLE here is up about 1.5 as well. So markets are closing now. Let's take a look at the dollar index. Again, dollar index still kind of in a backing and filling mode here. I do expect it to continue upward again to that 98, 99 area, but it needs to do some consolidation. It's just had a massive run in the recent weeks and months. Moving on to gold, it's really tough here. It's really got to get some juice right now. Otherwise, it's kind of in no man's land here. You know, we had the potential for maybe an inverse head and shoulder pattern here. If it can't curl back up pretty soon, then this pattern's probably just going to be too sloppy to be anything valid. But again, gold just kind of sideways right now. Had a nice rally Friday, but really no follow through today. And the same thing goes for silver. Just kind of inside of this down bar from Wednesday. So that is not a very good look there on silver either. Let's talk quickly about energy. So crude getting a nice bounce. Was hoping it would get down to that 61, 62 handle. It was going to pick up some UCO. I know some people who did, and they're now being handsomely rewarded here. Crude up another 5% today. The big loser in the energy space right now is nat gas, although this is coming into major support pretty soon here. Did gap below that 200 moving average, but it is into the 50-week moving average as well. You also have some nice pivots in this range also that will be major support on nat gas. But in any case, really just to wrap up, main thing you want to look for tomorrow is, can the bulls get follow through? Can we close above that 20 moving average, and then ultimately this pivot high here from last week? If that can happen, then the market can go to new all-time highs. But if it stays kind of in this choppy range, it could be telling you the market wants to build a bear base. And watch the VIX. Can't stress this enough. This will tell you where the market is going. The VIX holds this upper, the VIX holds this, I would say the 25 handle. But really, you want to watch this green trend line. If it kind of just hugs this area, I would be very careful just moving forward in general. But in any case, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. Take care, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.